all year long. Everything you need to know about high school sports, you've been finding at countysports.zone, which is proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Just because the high school sports season is coming to a close doesn't mean that you won't be finding really important information all summer long. News, coaching changes, previews as we start looking towards football. All of that will be available. countysports.zone, again, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. We are out here at PLL, at Whipsnake's homecoming weekend, and it's a pleasure, as always, to welcome back to the program the CEO of the PLL. He is Michael Rabil, and he is with us now here on GCR. Mike, it's great to see you, man. Thanks
Fellas,
so much.
Thanks for having me.
You, it's funny. I feel like last time we talked, you said something funny to me. You're like, my job is, as Paul says everything crazy, he says everything outlandish, then I kind of come clean it up afterwards.
Oh.
So anything that Paul has said this week that you feel the need that you need to clean up right off the bat?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just watching him right now, making sure. I can't believe I told you that. He writes the checks. I just try to hope to cash them. You know?
I understand that. Michael, this weekend, obviously, we're just talking about it with RJ. Really special. The Maryland Charm playing their first game.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through, for you all, how this came about, the WLL, why it was something that you all said, hey, we want this to be under our umbrella that we're a part of, and functionally what it took to make this happen and where it might be going in the coming years?
Yeah. You can't ignore the growth at the girls' game, at the high school level, and then at the women's game, at the college level, right? I think there's like double the amount of D1 women's programs there are to men's. So there's a ton of participation. So you have an embedded fan base. And then, the women deserve a great platform. The game is incredible. And, we showcased a little bit a couple years ago when we did at our championship series, which was our out-of-season tournament. And we had an all-star game. And then we were like, man, this is just really great to watch. We went to our investors and said, hey, I think that we should build a platform. And we need to build a women's league. And we went to our broadcast partners at ESPN and we said, is this something you think is important? We think it's important. And they're like, absolutely, women's important is very important to our platform at ESPN. So we kind of like built it together between our investors, the players, our broadcast partners. And you'll see tonight, right? We made a bunch of rule changes. So their format is very analogous to the PLL format. And I think that's important just for we want to make lacrosse more approachable. Obviously rules are important, but rules that the casual fan can understand.
What should we know about that, right? Because I will talk to people. I'll give you an example. I think she's coming here tonight. My friend MC McFadden was a coach for a long time. Of course, her daughter's the coach at Georgetown. MC would always joke with me when I started calling women's lacrosse. I would say, I don't always know what the call is. And she would say, Glenn, I've been in the sport my whole life. I don't know what some of the calls are. What are the rules changes that we should know as the WL launches?
Well, you should definitely have our head of product up here, Rachel DeCecco. She's the mastermind with Paul. They're some of the best lacrosse players ever play. So I put a lot of the rules in place. My positioning is more around how do we make the game more approachable, more understandable from like a hockey perspective, from a basketball perspective. So there's analogous rules. So we cut out things like, we put in a 2-point shot. Right, there's like a lot of mini stoppages. There's like that, other arc shot, and I'm messing it up where they like stop and they run and it's unguarded. We got rid of that. Free position. We got rid of that. So there's just a lot more flow to it. So it's just a lot more easy to understand. It's more analogous to free flowing sports. But for the technicalities, you need Rachel and Paul up here. But my guidance is always very high level, very macro. Let's make this more approachable so we can grow the game, grow the sport. And let's make it more analogous with what has helped the PLL, right? In structuring a lot of those rules. So that was and then they got in the weeds and started making some of the changes.
Michael Rabil, CEO of the PLL, is with us here on GCR, live from Whipsnake's homecoming weekend at Loyola. Michael, I guess let's go there next, right? Like, we're here at Loyola. Obviously, you guys have had a long time going at Johns Hopkins. Mm-hmm. And I know this isn't the only stop locally. You're going to do in the All-Star game at Navy.
Yep.
Walk me through the idea of coming over here to Loyola. What's new, what's different, why, and maybe what the future might hold.
Yeah. I mean, Loyola also is a storied program, right? And right now, a lot of what we're doing is we're sort of testing out different venues. We're testing out different parts of cities. And, some of the feedback we got about Hopkins was, yes, it's an institution, but we run fan surveys after every single event, and we take all that information and then we really run analysis against it and try to understand where we have control. Like, we don't own the venues, but we want to test their different venues, right? So there's a storied program. This is, a relatively new stadium. I think it's 14 years old, but on a relative basis, right? There's stadiums that are 30, 50 years old. And it's a great experience in a great part of town. And, we're able to structure a really advantageous deal for fans. So parking's free. Concessions are around like $5-6 for food. Like, people's wallets are being stretched right now in this economy. The entry price to get into a game is $25. We have a saying at the PLL: treat your fans like your best friends. And yeah, we have to run a business, but we also need to be mindful of where people are in this economy. And so we wanted to present with something that was just going to make it a little bit more accessible. Hopkins is in the middle of the city, like hard to park. There's not concessions built into the stadium. We had to bring food trucks. Lines were long. It's kind of center pointed in the part of the city where the sun was beating down on it. There's no shade. So all those things went into it. It's like, nothing against Hopkins. Paul won 2 national championships there, and we love the Cordish Center, but we have to do things that, our fans want. So that was a big part of this.
I feel like part of my question, and we're going to get to the conversation about, permanent homes, right?
Sure.
Is that part of trying new venues? Is like we are thinking about maybe at some point in the coming years there's going to need to be a singular home of the Maryland Whipsnakes?
Who tipped you off?
Yeah.
Well, come on. Or do you just intuitive? You're a sports
the
guy.
kind of math.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think that we have a pretty good national platform, and an area we can improve on is getting more local, and that's an opportunity, right? So our strengths have been very national, bringing on national partners. We have the CMO of U.S. Bank, who's a great partner, tonight coming in and hanging out with us, right? He has a home in Baltimore. At the same time, we don't have a single local Baltimore sponsor. So how do you do that? You bring in a local owner with us that thinks about ownership of the Maryland Whipsnakes, of the Maryland Charm, and gets into the local community and is bringing 8 to 10 home games in that market. And so we're not, officially selling teams, but we're getting close to that point.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Does it need to be every team when you get there?
We like to be the first 8. I mean,
okay.
It doesn't have to be, but I think for simplicity's sake, we think about the first 8. And look, there might be we know there are owners in other markets who have approached us that, we know ownership in Minneapolis wants the Water Dogs.
Yeah.
But they're a Philadelphia team, and so we're going to have to make those decisions. Maybe it's the 9th team there, or maybe we hold it to 8 for the first season. All of our games last year, 50% of our games were decided by one goal.
Are you committed to the markets that you named?
We want to be committed to.
You want to be committed to those markets.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll tell you this: some of it depends on how the audience shows up.
Sure.
In Utah, there's going to be a team there, whether we hold it forever or someone else holds it. Those fans show up. Denver, right? I mean, Chicago's showing up. Columbus is showing up, and we're going to evaluate if people show up and continue to support their team, right? But we want to build, a long-term standing team in Maryland. That's why we continue to come here. That's why we named the Whipsnakes out of them. It just Baltimore and Maryland. It's where we grew up. We're from Maryland,
lacrosse,
right?
Yeah.
Like Paul and I grew up in Gaithersburg, Maryland, and lacrosse was our neighbors passed down sticks and put them in our front yard, and we played in the street with our sticks, right? And that's just like it's endemic to this area, and so we love nothing more than to be here forever.
How close are you? Like how close? Like because it's the
very
constant.
Close. It's the main conversation.
Okay.
And look, ultimately we got to find the right owners who want to ride and have duration and have access to real estate and potentially our existing sports owners. I mean, we were with a large sports ownership group in Baltimore yesterday and having the conversation, right? So,
well, there's only a couple of those.
Can't go beyond that.
There's only a couple of those.
We'll see
So
where it goes.
Now I'm going to have to start guessing. No, I completely understand where you're coming from. But that's notable, right? Like you're not saying, hey, this is down the road. Like,
oh no,
you're in that.
We've been doing this for a decade. This is our 8th season,
yeah.
Right? Like it's time to get local. And if you look at where opportunity is, there's still opportunity at the national level, what we've been building. But it's time to bring in really great. Hopefully we can bring in really great local operators. I look at other examples of other leagues, whether it's the NFL, the NBA, most recent the NWSL. I think the NWSL has done a great job with their league and women's soccer, but you can't help but to think that Angel City and the growth and popularity of that team in LA had a lot to do with lifting all the boats.
Yep.
So with the tide that they created, they just put a lot of investment. They brought stars to the table. They worked the community. They sold a lot of tickets, and then all of a sudden that started to proliferate across the internet, and it helped the other teams. So we want 8 of those types of owners, 10, who are going to get into the community. They're excited about being a part of the pro sports fabric, and ultimately, pro sports are a community business. And I think that's an area that we work really hard at with our PLL Assist mission and our local marketing team, and we do a ton of work with a lot of local organizations, but we're not here on a 365 basis.
Correct.
So we want to be.
I mean, look,
And that's what we're working really hard against right now.
I think it'd be really exciting for the community for that to be the case.
Yeah.
But I get it. You got to have the right partners. Michael Rabil, CEO of PLL, sitting down with us here on GCR. The other thing that jumps out to me is the calendar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, a change this year, starting the season earlier, and what comes along with that is you're kind of up against the end of the college season and the guys coming in. What is the thought process with the calendar? Is that like we're committed, this is now what our calendar looks like? Are you trying something out? Does maybe like the World Championships, the Olympics in future years, does that factor into what you're trying to do with the calendar?
Yeah, a couple of things. The first one is listening to our fans, right? And one of the, if not the number one sort of piece of feedback we get from our fans is they hate sitting in the sun.
Yeah.
Well, how do we get into different parts of the calendar year that are less, sun beating? It's in the spring or the fall. With our network partner, they have a lot of college football, so there's not a lot of inventory available in the fall, nor do you want to be going against the NFL. So you look at the spring, right? Better part of the year, the weather's a little bit better. And we've been relegated to a 3-month season. You can't build a major pro sports league on 3 months of the calendar. You become irrelevant for 9 months. No one's talking about you. No one's playing. So we have to expand our schedule into some direction is the second piece, right? And so that's in the spring. And we didn't do it by a lot. We did it by a month. And yeah, it's you don't start the season off with some of the rookies, but tonight Joey Spallina is starting out.
It's gonna be fun.
So it's exciting to get them back out there. But those are some of the steps we've taken, and hopefully we're at a place where we have enough growth where it's not like that forever. But we have to build a season that's longer than 3 months. Right now, the summer is the most advantageous. Is where the gaps are in the network with our network partners. It's what pro lacrosse is used to. You can create ultimately, we're in the business of creating core memories for fans. That's it.
So what you're saying is we need more like small stadiums that have roofs on them. Is that what we're saying? Like, go to these
if I
new
showed
local
you
owners?
if I showed you some PowerPoints of renderings, what I think the future
it
of
seems
stadiums,
like that's,
indoor,
is that
5 to 10,000 person
where
stadiums.
you guys are playing the championship in New Jersey? Do they have a roof on that?
No,
one?
they don't. But they have an overhang.
Okay, and that goes a long way, right?
Yeah,
to avoiding
shade,
the sun.
and then if it rains, they're not getting rained on. It's a lot of like the European soccer model because there's just so much rain out there.
We need a lot more of those.
I mean, look, I'll tell you what. When you shoot, and because we play our out-of-season tournament at St. James, and we bring in extra seating because this is a very small venue. It's indoors, but the ball's picked up better because the sun glare, right? And we know the ball's small. You never have to worry about a weather delay. The fans can wear a jacket or not inside because it's AC.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't get those insane summer nights like we're going to have tonight.
Yeah.
But you don't have to worry about things you can't control. I've talked to sports owners who we have good relationships with who are local, and they're like, I only want to be in the indoor sports business.
Yeah.
Hockey,
because
basketball,
I
can control it
Yeah.
end to end,
Yeah.
right?
It
The
makes
fan
sense,
experience. So
right?
I think the weather's not getting any better. It's getting more sort of tumultuous. So it's one of those things that we are thinking about and talking about. And then you can think about this is like super in the weeds, but your intuition is really smart,
I'm a nerd about this stuff.
Yeah,
dude.
well,
I'm such a nerd about it.
If you think about pro sports ownership, the future, like not everyone owns an NFL team where you can build a business on, 10 home games, 11 home games, right? Like it's just not. It's not. So you have to think about, okay, if this is a real estate play, if I'm going to put all this money into this real estate, I need to monetize the real estate on a 365 basis. What better way to do that is with a roof? So I can run state football championships, lacrosse championships, soccer, micro concerts. None of it will ever be canceled.
Brother,
you're already on it.
You are singing my language. I don't know why anyone is. Everybody always tells me I'm soft when I have this conversation.
No,
oh my
dude.
God, listeners get on me. They're
you're
like,
a businessman.
You're so soft thinking about this. Like football's supposed to be out in the cold. I'm like, right, until you're the one that has to choose to go out there when it's 4 degrees, and you say to yourself, "No, I think I'm good." And then everybody says, "Well, why are there so many empty seats for this big game?" That's the way that it works. You got 6 other things you got.
No, we're good. We can keep going, man. If you have more stuff,
tell me what's next. Tell me what else is on the. Obviously, we're happy to be here. And I was just saying this. I think part of this that people need to recognize is when you're a startup, it's just remarkable to keep going, right?
Yeah.
Like that in and of itself is an accomplishment. But what else is on the docket?
I mean, look, that's one of the hard things about being we're an infant compared to the NFL. How long has the NFL been around for? 120 years?
Yeah, right.
You know, and so, you know, everyone aspires, but no one will probably ever be like that. But we're in the infancy stage. And so you're right, man. Like, you're obviously a student of sports business. Part of it is sticking around long enough till you get lucky. And what does getting lucky mean? It means global superstar, I mean, Olympics is going to be a watershed moment. Hopefully for us, we're going to storytell like shit around that. Sorry.
You're good. You're good.
We've been doing that a lot.
I've done worse.
I've been doing that a lot. Sorry. You got me hyped. It's game day.
Here, you
It's
said
game
you have
day.
to clean up after Paul.
It's game day, man. You know, I think that like you want to find those moments of like very big virality, and then hopefully the Olympics has, you know, you see a lot of the athletes who build, you can't force it. It has to happen organically. You know, what's next for us is like building the WLL and sustainability, continue the parity of the PLL, and finding great local owners in the future, right? Like we haven't kicked off a sales process. We're not sure exactly what the structure will look like, but we're working hard on it. And we want to make sure we get it right? And it's something that is really important because when you bring on a team owner, you can get like a compounding network effect where all of a sudden, instead of just 2 founders, we bring in 8 more founders. Mm-hmm. And they're in their community, and they own that team now. Yep. And they're banging doors, and they're working it, and they're humping it just like us. And then, you know, we're able to power it from a league perspective. So, you know, the game days will be different, you know, but at the same time, they'll be different because these owners are in these communities. And so, you know, that's a big part of what we're doing. And then we're just constantly trying to improve, man. Like constantly, like the sports landscape has never been more competitive. I was saying this earlier. There's two groups that capital's pouring into right now, 2 asset classes. It's AI and in real life activity, right? And there's more emerging leagues than ever, right? And I've seen fundraising decks of the PLL and all these new leagues. Like, well, if the PLL can do it and they're lacrosse, we can do it. And so guess what? They'll start up, and we got to go compete against that, right? And so we compete against summer concerts. And we have to make this such a good event that people come back every single year. And then eventually we bring on great owners who are going to be doing it on a weekly basis, right? And so that's what we're really focused on. And, you know, we're excited to be able to roll out our summer season, the inaugural season of the WLL. There's some amazing players out there I'm excited to watch tonight. You know, folks like you who care and have our players on all week and have us on, like you guys help power this thing.
You know, we are a big fan of the product, and this is the home of lacrosse. And like when you say, hey, you people got to show up, I hear that big time. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
This is Maryland that we're talking about.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Yeah. Michael Rabil, can I plug anything for you besides just get out here this weekend?
Get out PLLtickets.com. Find all the games on the ESPN app. Follow us on PLL and at WLL on Instagram.
It's great to see you, man. Appreciate you coming over and hanging out with us.
Man. Appreciate it.
Michael Rabil, CEO of the PLL.